28-year-old woman is scheduled to die by euthanasia due to her crippling depression, autism, and borderline personality disorder. And apparently, a significant turning point in her decision to move towards assisted suicide was being told by her psychiatrist that there is nothing more the field of mental health can do for her and that her symptoms will never get any better. My field, the one that I work in, the field of mental health, has completely and utterly failed this person. And although this story is making the news due to the kind of dramatic nature of what's going on with her, this actually happens every day. The suicides aren't usually assisted, and that's what makes this newsworthy, apparently. But we lose people daily, and many of them are being treated and are not being treated correctly. The ridiculousness of a mental health professional saying to a client, it's never going to get any better, is beyond malpractice. It's beyond ridiculous because this person is claiming to be a psychic. That's the problem that I have with this. They're predicting the future. We don't know how to do that. We have no ability to do that. Now, I don't know this woman. I know how her story's been portrayed in the news. I don't know her, but I know people like her. I've been like her. I know what it's like to be living a life that feels like there's a pane of glass over it and you can see everything that's happening, but you can't touch anything. You can't interact with anything. It's just something you can observe, but you can't participate in it. I know what it feels like to have that sensation that everyone except you is upstairs having this party and you can hear the laughter and the faint traces of the joy and the excitement and the happiness that everyone else seems to be having while you're locked in the basement with one flickering light bulb, not really able to do anything or participate in the party. I've spent a lot of time in those places, and that's why I feel, frankly, that I am more qualified than most to say that anyone telling you that you are hopeless, it's bull. Absolutely is. Please do not internalize the inadequacies of the mental health field. Many therapists or psychiatrists or anyone else working in this helping profession, we have a certain tool set, we have a certain skill set. And a lot of us have the ability, if you think of life, think of living a good life as like climbing this mountain, and mental illness is when you start to slip off the mountain. Cheesy, but it works. Think of it as like a lot of professionals can maybe reach over that edge and extend an arm. And if someone's just starting to slip or they've slipped, 2, 3 feet, we can extend an arm, we can grab you, and we can help you pull yourself up. That's what a lot of people can do. There are not a lot of mental health professionals out there who know how to help someone who has fallen 300 feet off the cliff and is now laying in the bottom of a dark valley in a pile of their own blood. Sorry if that was graphic, but it's a different situation. Not a lot of people have that skill set. But for someone to say to you, because I lack the skill set to help you, that means everyone lacks the skill set to help you. That means you're never going to be able to help yourself. That means this is just it for you. It's idiocy. It's absolute idiocy. And I'm so sorry to this young woman that no one was willing to climb down into that mountain with her and say, this is awful. I know. I know this is awful. We can get out of here, though. We can. Is it going to be easy? Hell no. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. And I'm sorry you have to go through it. I'm sorry you have to do this work that most people don't have to do, at least not to the extent that you do. I'm sorry that most people are living a Mario Brothers life and you've had to play Dark Souls the whole time. To the 5 of you who understand that metaphor, thank you. I appreciate you. Nobody is qualified to tell you that you are hopeless. Nobody. And I am so grateful that nobody ever told me that I was hopeless, except for me, of course, because I was this close to being where this woman is, except I would have done it myself. And all it would have taken was one little push from a therapist or a psychiatrist to say, yeah, this is it for you. It would have been. I would have been done. I I was so close to giving up. And I think virtually anyone who would have known me that time in my life probably would have agreed, like, yeah, you're screwed. I mean, look at you. There's no getting out of this for you. And they were wrong. I was wrong. I had poured for myself a solid foundation of hopelessness, not on purpose. It's just the way life went. And I was 99.9% certain that nothing would ever get any better. And there was no one thing. I didn't like wake up one morning, just, it was gone. What happened is, through, as far as I can tell, mostly random events that I still don't understand, these little moments would occur that would put just the tiniest little crack in that foundation of hopelessness. I'd see a glimmer of a life I thought maybe I had a chance at living, a chance at enjoying. Didn't seem plausible or likely or easy, but I'm like, I can hang in there as long as there's some remote possibility that there's some very obscure way I can put together a life for myself that I don't hate. And as long as you can conceptualize that for yourself, as long as you can find, gosh, one or two or three, if you're really lucky, things in this life worth sticking around for, and make them as much a core of your life as possible, you can get through this. Because you don't know, nor do I, nor does anyone, what the future holds, what turning points may occur. I feel fortunate that my turning point started in late adolescence and early adulthood because I know that for some people they do not. For some people, it takes much longer. I am extremely, extremely lucky that some of the things happened when they did. And I feel more empathy than I have words to communicate to people who have to deal with what I dealt with for even longer than I did. Because it felt like an eternity for me. And I'm looking back and I'm like, it really wasn't that long compared to what some of you all experience. But no matter where you're at in life, no matter how long it's been, no matter what things have taught you up to this point, you do not know what happens next because your life has millions of variables, probably billions. I mean, no one can even calculate that. If you made your life a research study and we'll say, okay, the dependent variable is my quality of life or my subjective happiness, my mental health, my hope, put the thing in there that you hope gets better, the thing you're sticking around for. That's the dependent variable. So that thing is going to be the outcome of the interaction of all of the independent variables. And there are millions of them. And some of them change every day. Some of them change every second. Your brain is restructuring itself every second. New neurons are growing and old neurons are dying every second. And although on a minute to minute basis, that change represents such a tiny fraction of your psychological physiology, your neurophysiology, I guess I should say, that it really does not move the needle in any noticeable way. Over a long time frame, you have a different brain. Literally, you do. Like what you think of as your brain today, a lot of it's going to be dead in a year. And there's going to be a lot of new stuff in there a year from now that doesn't exist right now. That's a different brain. You've probably heard this saying. It's not technically correct, but it's a worthwhile saying to consider, even though it's a little cheesy, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So keep every independent variable the same, run the study again and expect a different result from the dependent variable. It's not actually a definition of insanity. There really is no definition of insanity, but it would be illogical to expect that. If you ran a research study and you didn't like the results and you said, just do it again. Same participants, same conditions, same everything. Change nothing, do it again. Yeah, you're probably gonna get the same results. It would be unless you screwed up your experimental control somehow. It should play out the same every time if the independent variables never change. But the opposite of that statement is also true, meaning that it's equally as unreasonable or insane, if you want to use that word. I hate that word, but you can use it if you want, to change independent variables, to change what you're doing, and expect the results to not be different. They are equally valid statements. Change nothing, expect outcomes to change, ridiculous. Change things, expect outcomes not to change, also ridiculous. Neither one makes any sense. And the independent variables that make up your life, to some extent, are changing every day. They change even without your consent or knowledge. Some of these changes just happen. So we're putting aside any changes you are intentionally creating to try to live a better life. Anything that's happening, therapeutically for you, you change every day. Now, it's not dramatic, but you do change every day. So the idea that I can look forward, let's say 5 years from now, and say, I know that nothing's going to improve. I know that 5 years from now will not be any better than the life I'm living today. It's factually incorrect to say. I don't know all the variables. I'm not a deity. I'm not a psychic creature. I can't do that. And neither can you. Neither can your psychiatrist or your therapist or your parents or whoever's telling you this worthless nonsense. I don't normally do news reaction videos, but this one just got me because I know this sounds very like self-centered, probably, and egocentric, but my first thought when I read this story is like that was almost me. That could have been me. And if I had had one or two things go in a different direction, it would have been. And I don't even have the words to express to you guys how grateful I am that that did not end up being me because it's not my life anymore. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and it'll probably be the hardest thing you've ever done too. Please, no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what your history is, no matter what you've been through, please do not let anyone or anything tell you or convince you that things cannot change and things cannot get better because it is a completely illogical position to take. It doesn't make any sense to say. If you have been failed by my profession as badly as this young woman has, I just want to say, on behalf of every provider who has ever been unable to meet you where you're at, I apologize. We have a lot to learn. We have a long way to go. Some of us, frankly, aren't trying very hard. A big part of why I wrote a book, I started this YouTube channel, I started my own therapy clinic, is because the majority of therapists and colleagues that I've had, the majority of people I've met, I have realized upon meeting them, this person would not have been able to reach me at my lowest. Very few people would have. And most of the people I've met who work in this profession would have failed me. Whether through lack of ability or lack of effort, I can't say because I don't know what is in anyone else's mind. But if mental health has failed you, that's not your fault. It doesn't say anything about you. It says everything about us. So if you are still fighting a battle like I have fought, like she is fighting, no matter how it feels, please know that you're not alone. Please know that there are other people out there. I know you wake up in your cold, lonely bed every morning and you look out and every, I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my words today. I'm really shaken up by this. Know what it feels like to just see people pass you by in the halls, in the office, on the street, and the last little glimmer of hope you have inside is dying a little bit more every day. And everyone else other than you looks fine. I know, but you're not alone. You can keep fighting. And no matter what anybody else says to you, this is a battle that you can win if you don't give up. I am proof of it. I really, really hope that you hang in there because it can be done. Take care.